Good morning. It's a great privilege for me to be here and that to speak on my favorite topic, the women leaders, the change makers. Firstly, let me talk about leadership and then define a change maker and finally, why women. First of all, what is leadership? Leadership is all about influence. Think about the classes that you liked in your school. Remember the teachers that had more influence on you. There was something common among the teachers that you liked. They were leaders because they had great relationship with you, right? Leadership is all about influence. If you can influence someone to come up in life, to chase their dreams, you are a leader. We all know that our late President, Dr. Abdul Kalam, was our DRDO chief, and we're all very proud of him because he was a great leader. Do you know who influenced him? One ordinary school teacher, Sri Shiva Subramania Iyer, who taught us in his 5th standard. One day, Iyer gave a lesson on how birds were flying. So many of the students could not understand, including our Abdul Kalam. So they all asked him about it. So he took them out to the Rameshwaram seashore that same evening and showed how the birds are flying, how the lift is generated. And that day, something went inside Dr. Abdul Kalam that made him later to become an aerospace scientist. You know, somebody or the other make a great influence in our lives. They are leaders. Try to analyze the lives of great historical figures who have carried out a lot of social reforms and have made great impacts in our society. They are all men of vision, leadership, and they all influence people towards a common goal. Leadership is all about influence. Take the case of Martin Luther King. He played a key role in American civil rights movement. What is special about him? There were so many social activists like him. There were so many orators like him. But why people listen to him compared to others? Why did 25,000 people gathered in front of that Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. to hear Dr. King speak his famous talk, I Have a Dream? When he spoke that I Have a Dream talk, there was no WhatsApp message to carry that he is going to speak there. There were no emails sent, but still 25,000 people gathered, and in that 25% were whites, not blacks. Because Dr. King did not go around telling people what needs to be changed, the 10 steps to change, but he went around telling, I believe in some social transformation that you and me will be part. When people believe what he believed, they took his cause and made it their own. That's why they gathered. They told the other people and everybody gathered there. Leaders hold a power of authority. That's why they inspire us. We follow them not because they want us to follow them, but we follow them because we want to follow them. That's why they inspire a passion in us. They have a purpose. They have a vision. They have a fire within them to inspire others. Everything depends on leadership. An organization or a nation stands or falls on leadership. So what is leadership? Before going into what is leadership, let me tell you what is not leadership. 90% of the leaders whom you call leaders are not true leaders. They are professional manipulators. They use power to threaten people. They use the element of force. They have the oppressive spirit. They withhold the things what people want. True leadership is completely opposite to each of these things. True leadership is not about control. It's about service. True leadership is not about power, but it is about empowerment. A true leader has followers who says that person empowered me. That person made me look great. Leadership is not at all about manipulation or anything, but it is about inspiring people. It's not about people at all, but it is about the purpose. Not about trying to find people to follow that leader, but discovering a purpose that everybody pursues after. That's why great leaders do not seek followers. It's not about doing, it's a process. It's not about a level we are going to reach. It's a process. We often see in this world something opposite to that. We see politics without principle. And we see many of the leaders compromise. That's why they compromise their personal principles to please a group of people who are deal makers. So we always see nowadays pleasure without conscience, wealth without work. This kind of system destroys a community. When people prefer to gain wealth through gambling or others, when people want something for nothing, the whole society crumbles. So when people go after knowledge without character, that means the more intelligent we become, they become more dangerous. Because they go after knowledge without character. They go after business without morality. Science without humanity is more dangerous. When you don't regulate science with conscience and humanity, it can even destroy the world. That's why it's very, very important to have everything in the right place. Even a worship without sacrifice is too horrible. When you pursue God without willing to sacrifice personal pleasure or evil things, you end up as destroyers. That's why it's very, very important to follow the right principles of leadership. It's very, very important because leadership is everything. A leader can be a great person who can inspire the whole world. We lack such leaders. I strongly believe such great leaders do not create followers at all. They create more leaders. The real job of a leader is not about being in charge, but taking charge of those who are under your care. That's why such a leader leads based on strength. They don't have titles. They equip others. They make others to grow. They develop others. There is a great need of such leadership because such leadership transforms potentials into reality. When good leadership is in place in any organization, you can feel it throughout the entire organization. You can see the culture of the organization is developed. It's not forced. Communication is open. Everyone understands the vision and goal and why they are there in that organization. And that's why people feel that they are an important part of that organization, give their best, they stay late, they work hard. You know, when Dr. Abdul Kalam was the director, many of them worked so late, he never told anyone, but they worked and worked, they never went home. Once Abdul Kalam had to go to one of his colleagues' home to take care, to see the award-winning ceremony of his own son, when he cannot go. That we need such leaders. Leadership is an amazing thing. Nothing happens without leadership. Nothing changes without leadership. Nothing develops without leadership. Nothing advances and succeeds without leadership. So let me define leadership. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration generated by a passion. The passion that the person has, which is motivated by a vision that the person sees, which is birthed by conviction that the person develops, which is produced by the purpose that we are here in this world. That's why true leadership is a byproduct of a purpose. Why are you here? Every leadership begins at the bottom, a sense of purpose. Once you find a sense of purpose, you develop conviction. It is conviction that makes the leader to see a vision. The belief that is birthed makes you to see a bigger picture, a future that is far better and far nobler than the present. That's why when you have that vision, you develop a passion that is stronger than death. All true leaders are individuals who can die for their conviction. That's why they inspire people. Once you inspire, people surrender their authority to you. You are not forcing them to surrender. They just seek after you because you are not going after power or positions, but you're going after their well-being. You get power that you never asked for. That's why leaders are people who have found something to do and something to live for. Dying is a part of leadership. Nelson Mandela, the great leader, said, I have fought against white domination and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and a free society in which all people live together in harmony. It is an ideal for which I am ready to die. Where from we get such leaders? Are such leaders are born or are they developed? Once a great set of tourists were visiting a beautiful village, and one of them asked an old man sitting beside his house, were great men born in this village? The old man looked at them and said, no, only babies are born. He was right. Leadership is not a born trait. It's developed over the years, and it is hard work too. One of the early notions of leadership, which is still popular in many circles, is the inborn quality. That is a great man theory. That as per the theory, leadership calls for certain qualities in a person like charm, persuasiveness, commanding personality, high degree of intuition, judgment, courage, intelligence, aggressiveness, and action orientation. If either they have them, they are the leader. If they do not have them, they are not leader. That means leadership is in the genes, they believe. Even in earlier Greeks said that you have natural endowments either to be a slave or to be a leader. So if you want to be a leader, you should be born in the leading class. So they thought that if you are a leader, your nose will be pointed, your hairs were blonde, and your eyes are blue, and you're definitely a leader. That's what the Greeks believed. So when they came to Africa, they thought, okay, now there are so many slaves, we can use them. Because of their wrong philosophy of leadership, they developed slaves. Adolf Hitler had a philosophy that Jews had black eyes, they were sucking their blood, so God made them as slaves. Even the psychology of the post-European era said, you are a slave by providence. God chose somebody to be leaders and somebody to be slaves. Every ideology needs a theology to make it legal. Sometimes we have wrong conviction, we have wrong thoughts. Today it is the time to change our thoughts and convictions so that the society can be made much better because we are here in the society. I want to ask you one question. A car has around 40,000 parts or more. Which part of the car is more important? The engine or the battery? Because the battery has all the power. We like all the powerful people, right? But who is a leader? We got a little thing called the spark plug. It's very, very cheap. Can a battery becomes more important than the spark plug? Now you remove the spark plug, your battery becomes waste. Then your battery becomes useful because of a little wire. It's very cheap. Now the wire is not there, battery cannot work. The spark plug is not there, battery cannot work. So now who is important? Who is important in your organization? The CEO or the woman who cleans your room or the secretary who types? Everybody are leaders because every part of the car is a leader in its area of functioning. So we have to respect each other. Never believe that you are useless. You follow wrong people because you don't know what you are born to be. You don't know what your function is. When you discover this, you will become free and you will become a leader in your own place. You will not be followers. You will be developing leaders. You will begin to dictate your own value. You become a leader when you discover that the world needs you. Then you become very dangerous. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. That's why leadership skill is practicable and it is learnable. Nothing is difficult because when you have the passion, you will learn it. Something you work on it like a muscle, how you work on it in a gym. Because if you go to the gym one day and you won't get shape, you have to work on it day and night. That's when people will trust you. Might be when I started my journey in my career as a leader, I was not a great leader. My director once called that when I was blaming people, he said, if you want to be a good leader, you take all the blames, and when something great happens, you give all the credits to your people. So that's when he taught me, he's no more now, but he taught me that beautiful concept. So leadership can be developed. When you do consistently, when you practice it, you can become a great leader. So I would like to give you a few secrets to be a great leader. First, do not become a manager. That's a great difference between management and leadership. The famous writer Peter Drucker said, management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. Manager and leader are two completely different roles. Managers focus on the bottom line, leaders focus on the horizon. We have companies that are overmanaged and underled. Don't ever confuse managers with leaders. When we are junior in our job, our only responsibility is to do our work, to be good in our work. But at some point, we get promoted to a higher position. And now we are not responsible for that work or for that job. We are responsible for the people who do that work which we did earlier. So we need to move on. We need to go through that transition from one level to another. Transition of being responsible for the job to transition to being responsible for the people who are in turn responsible for the job. Some people do this transition quickly and some do it slowly. Some never make this transition at all. That is why we get managers and not leaders. Managers micromanage everything. If you are led by a manager, you will never grow. Leaders are change makers. They make leaders. They don't make successes. They don't make followers. So the second thing, the first thing is do not be a manager. The second, give your best in little things. Give your best in whatever God has put you to do. Be 100%. Whatever you are asked to do, give it 100%. You will, if you are giving it 100%, you will never do anything half-hearted, even though it's a very small thing. Many people do their job with mediocrity. That is why they don't know what they are doing. Many times what you do is not important. Why you do is important. Why are you here? You just ask a mediocre person, what are you doing? He will just tell, I'm doing this work. But if you ask an excellent person, he will tell why he's doing what he's doing. That's why is so important, the motive behind it. Bible says, do everything for the glory of God. If you do the little things that you're doing, everything for God's glory, then you will do it as the best. That's why the what is not that much important as why. If you're passionate about your work, you will do it with excellence. Even if you're not passionate, you are asked to do, you will think you're doing it for God and you will do. Blaise Pascal, the brilliant 17th century intellectual, made significant contributions in the field of science and mathematics. He established the groundwork for the development of mechanical calculators and modern hydraulic engines. He once wrote a beautiful quote, Lord, help me to do great things as though they were little, since I do them with your power. Lord, help me to do little things as though they are great, because I do it in your name. Such a beautiful prayer of Pascal. Then the third aspect, go to the second mile. The word excel means to go beyond average. The normal mindset is minimum effort for maximum expectation. How little I can do and how much I can get it back. How much I can give without expecting any returns are the mindset of excellent people. Leaders are not legalists. Leaders would give more what he or she gets back. Don't ever lead people so that you can get something in return. Leaders never calculate the dividends, never take a decision based on the returns. Leaders take the people up the hill where they need to go. We cannot walk the second mile until we walk the first. It is wonderful traveling the second mile as there is very less traffic there. The fourth, character is everything. Without character, there can be no great leadership. It is a constant effort to integrate your words and actions. Character is what you do when no one is watching. One man in secret and public. And you and your other second thing is secret self. One, you are showing the public self. One, you are showing yourself. So if the both does not match, then you are not a man or a woman of character. Conviction is very important for character. We need leaders whose conviction are so deep that it becomes the force of their life. When we see so many senior leaders in politics, in everything, in governments making headlines for their scandal and illegal activity, we easily conclude the integrity is very, very important. That's why character, integrity, conviction, everything is so important. A leader's actions are very important because it has to be backed by integrity. It has to be backed by character. That's very, very important. The followers follow a leader with integrity. They trust them. That's why you should develop your own values, which is based on your strong character. Stephen Covey said, what you do has greater impact than what you say. That's why both of them should be matching. The last one is the leader should be a visionary, vision casting. Indispensable character of a leader is vision. No one can give that dream. Everybody should have a vision. It should be from your heart. That's why there are 4 types of people. Some never see anything at all in their life. Some see but never go after that. The third category is they are achievers. They see and they pursue it. But the final category are the true leaders. They see it, they pursue it, they follow it, they make others to follow that. That is the characteristic of a leader. So you can go from one position to another position because even though it is difficult, if you have a great leader with you, you can easily traverse a difficult terrain. Not only I go from this place to other place, very difficult place myself, I take somebody else along with me. That is the leadership. First, we see the vision. We go into the first valley. It is the ownership. We see the vision. We get others excited about it. And then we go to our people, try to share with them. Then they feel that vision is theirs. And then they also get that same vision. So everybody walk together towards the point B, from point A to point B. Such leaders are visionaries. Then finally, I wanted to give a leader should have 3 things to possess: inspiration, influence, and impact. These are the 3 things a leader should possess. To be a source of inspiration, the main skill needed is to make people feel important. If you can make a person feel important, you are a leader. Billionaire Mary Kay Ash's secrets to success is to imagine that everyone she met has a sign on their forehead telling them, make me feel important. Leadership is not about the leader, that's why. It's about the follower. It's making the follower feel very important. How do I make people feel important? By genuinely asking questions about their interests, about their passions, about their things. You can be a great mother if you ask, or a father, if you ask your children about their interest. You are a leader then. If you are a great teacher, you will be interested in your student to come up. If you are a great leader as a student, you will make the other students to get high marks and to get to come to the highest level in their life. How do you do that? You will never condemn. You will often give them feedback that will help them to improve. Praise them in public and correct them in private. That is what a great leader does. You will tell the person that's called the sandwich approach. If you want to criticize them, first develop 2 things about your praises. So then first 20 minutes, you just praise them or you talk to them good things about them. Then you criticize them. Then finally you praise them. So that is why you can be, that's a way you can convey the right thing to a person to whom you're trying to develop. That then you will earn respect. So also another thing by which you can earn a respect is by showing your vulnerability. If you have done mistake, accept it. Vulnerability is a great sign of leadership. The best leaders wear their heart on their sleeves and they are not afraid to show their vulnerability. They genuinely care about people and spend their days developing people around them. They are like the sun that gives light so that trees and plants will grow. Next is influence. The first, I said that it is about a source of inspiration, then about influence. It's a pros. I said leadership is all about influence. To be a person of influence, you should surround yourself with people of influence. The great scientist Newton said, if I have seen more than others, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. He had the shoulders of some other great scientists on whom he has developed his scientific nature. So one of the act of honoring another person is to listen to them, to be with them, and to support them, to help them, to influence them. How do you influence? When you do your work sincerely, others will look at you and they will do, even without telling them. When you are a hard worker, the people around you will work hard. I wanted to give you a small example. In San Francisco Zoo in 2003, they had a lot of penguins, and around 46 penguins at that time they had. All of them were eating very nicely. You know about penguins, they can't fly, but they are elegant swimmers. They swim so beautifully. But these penguins were eating well and they never swam. They were happily enjoying sleeping and all the time resting. They brought just 6 penguins from Ohio. Those penguins came and they jumped into the water from morning to evening. They played, those 6 penguins. After some time, they saw all these 46 penguins join them, and they all were making so much of sound that the zookeeper were telling, I'm unable to control them. That is what about influence. When you do the things, everything, others will follow you. Actions speak louder than words. And people will follow you because of what you do. Then comes the impact. Impact is also about translating your ideas into execution. That actions speak greater than words. Great leaders lead by examples. During World War I, General George Patton led his troops by walking in front of his tanks despite the risk of being chopped by the enemy. Such leaders dare to lead. They dare to take tough decisions. That's why impact is very important. Such leaders will be very authentic. They will not use words that are not aligned with who they are. The word speaks louder sometimes. So they work on their character. Next, I wanted to speak, before going into women leaders, about a few stages of leadership. You know, the first stage is people will get interested in you. Then people will get impressed. Then people will get influenced, and finally people will be impacted. I know where I'm going. I have been there. Then I'm going to take others to that place. I am a learner. Now I have a reservoir of learning. I am going to make it as a river so that the learning will flow to others. That shows that I'm genuinely interested in others. That's my motive. Am I doing for others' sake? Am I genuinely interested in others? That's a motive, passion. Am I loving what am I doing? Relationship. Am I investing in people's lives? It's very, very important. Relationship, passion, and motive. And you know, finally, John Maxwell have given 5 levels of leadership. First is position level. People follow because they have to follow you. And second, you give permission for people to follow you. Third, production. People follow because what you have done for the organization. Then fourth is position. People follow because what you have done for them personally. Then finally, pinnacle. People follow because of who you are and what you represent. Everything starts with position. That is, we all have a title. Because of the title, you have a title in your office. So people are following you because they have to follow. And if they don't want also, they can never go out because your position, you are a teacher, you are a professor, or you are a director, whatever it is, people follow you. But they will follow you. They'll come at the right time and they'll go at the right time. That is the position level. The permission level, people follow you because of their relationship. You developed a relationship. They feel like staying more. They feel like working more. You treat them, they have values. And level 3 is the production level. You do so much of production and they are getting caught in that vision and they also produce. So the things are getting done. So they see some action in front of them. Some things is produced. So they follow you. You are going work together. And then people development, that is people level. So what you do is, this is an exciting level. You invest on them personally. Somebody has gifts. You're developing them So you are investing on them personally. So even if you tell them to go after 4:30, they will never go. If the work is there, they will stay and work hard, because you cannot now stop them. You are investing. It's like a father-mother relationship in the office and the school and the colleges, because you develop a relation and you are investing in others, how a parent is investing in their children. So that is the way an organization will grow. And finally, the pinnacle level. Abdul Kalam has reached this pinnacle level. It's going beyond the organization. You are known about the organization. It's always growing process. You're willing to invest in the life of the society. You give your life for the society. That's when you are considered as the highest leader. So finally, running the race is not about beating people. It's about releasing yourself. That is why great leaders never compete with anyone. They are complete within themselves. They are too original to compete. You are not created to lead people. You are created to develop them, to deliver something to the humanity. You want to discover what you are made, what's the purpose you are here, and what you can give to the humanity. It's everything is to become a servant. Jesus Christ said, I have come to serve, not to be served. That's why so many people follow him. Ask yourself a simple question. I am in which level, position or the pinnacle or somewhere in between? Can I improve myself? So this is about the basic structure of leadership. Next, I wanted to come to my second part of my talk, that is change makers. Who are change makers? They are the pinnacle leaders. They are the change makers who take action when they see something needs to be done in their community, in their society, and in the world. There is one main difference between change makers and the rest of the world. Most people desire change. All of us want change, right? Many want to see a different world, but they don't become change makers because they think perhaps it's difficult, or they believe that some other people might take it up. Change makers are relentless after pursuing their goal. They use a combination of knowledge, resources, determination to push through until their dreams becomes true. Such change makers are the social force of evolution. They come from all walks of life, from volunteers to business leaders to scientists to teachers to engineers to doctors. They do not just like that parachute into a community as an outsider or a savior. They are personally connected and they are passionate about the issues what they are dealing with. If someone wants to change the world, it is impossible. You can change one life, and that one life will become like a butterfly effect. You know that Sri Iyer, he changed one life, Abdul Kalam, and that impacted a lot of lives. That's why we now live in a totally different world compared to the world what our mothers lived, what our grandmothers lived. This is a radically different age for women. Our grandmothers did not have the same freedom as we have right now as women. This is because of such change makers. The men and women who pursued after tearing down wrong practices, men and women who watched walls of intolerances crumbling down and dreamt of crushing the gender bias and prejudices. Gender bias, they were after the gender bias. Women, girls were killed in the mother's womb. And many girls were not fed properly in their young age because they were girls. They were not educated. Even now, many girls are raped and they are kidnapped. But we have come a long way. Have you heard of Rosa Parks, the lady in a Montgomery bus? She discovered something that she has to. What was it she discovered? She had to stand for the truth. It's amazing to think that one act of courage she did changed the complete society and the course of the world. That's exactly what happened on 1st December 1955 when an American seamstress refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus for a white passenger. In those days, whites have to sit, and if they see a black sees a white, they have to get up and give the seat to the white. But this lady refused to give her side. That's why she was asked to get down, and she was given, and she did not get up, and then it ended up in the police station, and it became a great fight. So many people did not go to the job in the bus. They walked for miles and miles, and it became a great freedom movement. This following her why she did not give up her seat, somebody asked her. She said, people always say that I did not give up my seat because I was tired. But that is not true. I was not tired physically. But I am tired of giving in for this wrong practice. Following her decision, police officers came and took her. They never realized it would spark a nationwide protest. While words are important to inspire, ultimately the change makers inspire. On December 5, the 35,000 leaflets were distributed, and how they have to follow the rules they decided, and so many people followed the bus boycott movement, and it lasted for almost a staggering 381 days, and 40,000 boycotters walked. On February 4, 2013, on her 100th birthday, the U.S. Postal Service issued a commemorative Rosa Parks Forever stamp. In a single moment, she helped change America and change the world. Blacks and whites are same. She wrote, I believe we are here on this planet Earth to live, to grow, to do what to make this world a better place for everybody to live in. Leadership is born when toleration ends. When you are not ready to give in to wrong practices, you fight against wrong practices. Whatever you tolerate, you will never change. When you say, I have had enough, that's when a great leader is born. Toleration is the graveyard of leaders. That's why we lack leadership, because everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be in the good books. Mother Teresa she was just 4 feet and 5 inch height. She was just a high school teacher, but she went to UN and boldly spoke before everyone against abortion. She refused to be budged. Women, time and time again, have proved to show great leadership skills in various spheres of life they found themselves. A significant amount of time had been given to survey the skills, personality, disposition that leads to successful leadership in the two genders. And statistics showed that women are capable of being good leaders equally as men. According to Pew Research Survey on Women and Leadership, it said that Americans find women indistinguishable from men on basic leadership qualities like intelligence, capability, innovation, and even stronger than men in matters like compassionate and being organized. So women and leadership are two important aspects of our life. The women's brain has been bequeathed with a natural talent on leadership. The mental flexibility of the women's brain has an important trait. John F. Kennedy once said, we need men who can dream of things that never were, but we also need women who can give their mind to us. What makes a woman a forerunner? Women are interested in creating relationships everywhere they go. Women communicate to exchange feelings and encourage interactions. They make connections wherever they are. Most women know their children's friends, hopes, their dreams, their secrets, their fears, and even what they think compared to their fathers. As a hunter, a woman has eyes that allow a wide area of vision. That helps any predator from coming to her children. She amazingly blessed with intuition. When my children were young, whatever mistakes they do, somehow I will come to know. They used to come and ask me, how come you're knowing this? Everything, somehow I used to feel that I was getting some intuition or some feeling from the Lord, or somehow I used to get it. And that's why many times women rule in some things like that. The current trend shows that natural talent of a woman has to be used, and history has shown again and again some of the important characteristics of women as leaders, like capability to respond positively, empathy with others, willingness to speak out, honesty, capability to get support from family and friends, strong belief in the power of cooperation, and staying strong in the midst of adversity. I believe that women are the perfect people as entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers. As per the beautiful quote, the hand that rocks the cradle, the procreator, the mother of tomorrow, a woman shapes the destiny of civilization. Women are the game changers. They are in the game of changing the world. Think about poverty reduction and mass group protests that were women-led. They gave rise to the solutions to a distressed society. These changemaker women challenge the status quo and transform communities, redefining the roles of women in society. From reforming waste management systems in Peru to an app that fight against street harassment, these women challenge the societal, economic, cultural, and political inequalities in our world. Through social innovations that span from religion to technology, these social entrepreneurs are all empowering communities and individuals to make positive social change regardless of their gender or background. Such women come from anywhere in the world. They use deep-rooted sense of empathy for others. Because of such change makers, the world is not as it used to be. They mended it. They washed tearing the walls of intolerance. They watched the walls crumbling down. They were the bravest ambassadors of change. They lived by example. They were driven by in diversity and curiosity. They were the bravest ambassadors of change. That's why, like the ships that sail and sea, they moved with your dream, trying to find a niche in the process of creating something for the society. They inspired, they dared to go against the odds, they gave light in the darkness, they made change so that the world we see will be made a better place. They don't wait for opportunities, but they hug realities and they believe that exciting doors will one day open. From science to war to religion, such people brought revolution. They created history. These women are the paradigm of what one can do when there is genuine love for one another. Jhansi Rani Lakshmi Bai, who fought against the British rule with a sword in her hand and a child tied back, you can never forget. She died as a man dressed in the battle in 1858. She fought against the attacks by the neighboring princes. A woman in those days can do this. You and me can do this. If you are asked to create the most significant figures of all scientists, I would say Marie Curie's name was certainly there. She was truly a trailblazer, pioneering the act of isolating radioactive isotopes, identifying the elements of polonium, and radium. Without questions, even her critics gave her the iconic status for her significant work within the fields of physics and chemistry. She challenged the status quo and struggled against all odds. She is an icon and a scientist of legendary proportions. She had good support of her husband and stepfather. When she studied in Paris, she had to stay alone in a hotel and she had to manage. She barely slept. She worked very hard. In 1903, she became the first woman to get the Nobel Prize in physics. And again, she made in history by getting the second Nobel Prize in chemistry. And she paved the way for radioactive therapy. She found that tumor cells exposed to radium were destroyed faster than the healthy cells. So these are some of the interesting work she had done. And though she, as a widow, she still struggled. Either her discoveries were revelatory. And the Curie's work cannot be talked in just 2 minutes. It's such an amazing work that she has done in polonium and radium, both highly radioactive. And though she has lost her health, she continued to work. She is a paradigm of what one can achieve when there is a genuine love for one's work. So she worked and walked undeterred. Even though she became alone for a long time, she created a place for women in science. Next comes Rosalind Franklin. Two scientists, Watson and Crick, got the Nobel Prize for discovering the beautiful DNA. In our cells, we have this DNA which has 3.1 billion bits of data packed in a small dot. When people see that, they just wonder, even scientists, atheistic scientists wonder that this cannot come by chance. There should be a supernatural creator behind it. That is the power of DNA. The information packed in it that says that how you will become, what will characters you will become. And it is made of a double helix structure. This structure was discovered first by William Fleming. Fleming devised her own, and this was done by Rosalind Franklin. She first found out this structure of the DNA, but she died little earlier before they got this Nobel Prize, and she never was. Her name is not at all mentioned, but she was the first who found this one. Then again, one more lady, William Fleming. She was the one who worked in the astronomical laboratory far back in 1881. She devised her own star classification system, and she has identified more than 100 stars. And her salary was so low. She worked for almost 7 hours a day, and her request for increased salary was routinely dismissed. But she did not stop working till her death. She worked because she had a flair for her work. You know, in India, there is, you might have heard about this Vellore hospital. Here, you know, this Christian hospital at Vellore. There is one medical doctor called Ida Scudder. She came to India along with her parents, missionary parents. Her grandparents on her father's side had moved to India and then followed their tradition. Her parents also moved. The couple had 6 children, of which Ida was the youngest and the only doctor. In 1878, following a cholera epidemic and a severe famine, the couple they will go back to US. When they returned to India a few years later, the 13-year-old Ida, behind the stern guardianship of her aunt and uncle, completed her education. But one day she saw her father, 3 ladies came to her father, one Hindu, one Christian, and a Muslim, that same day. Their husbands were not ready to allow them to go for gynec treatments with their father, who is a doctor, because he is a man. And the 3 ladies died that same day. That forced Ida Scudder to take up medicine, and she started this hospital, Christian Medical Hospital in Vellore, so many years back. So that's why many ladies, when they see, many women and men, when they see something has to be changed, they do it, and they do it with so much of conviction and so much of trouble. We do not, that's why we do not sometimes think of their talents. We do not think of the sacrifices they have done. The first women engineer in India, Lalita's father, had to convince the authorities of the College of Engineering, Guindy, to admit his daughter. Lalita lost her husband at a tender age of 18. You know the status of widow in those days. Her father had to convince a lot and then to make her get admitted. She was the first engineer. Aishwarya Chatterjee, the microwave person, who we have many of her books in our lab, became the first chairperson of the electrical communication engineering in 1943 and was the first engineer to go to the foreign university. Amidst opposition, she pursued relentlessly her studies. One more last example I want to give of the first forgotten life of Einstein's first wife, Mileva Mayer. Both Einstein and his wife started the graduate program together, and they worked together. Though she was accepted for higher education, because she became pregnant, she could not go. Once Einstein even said, "I need my wife as she solves all my mathematical problems." They would sit together late night discussing physics. In 1905, when he submitted his thesis, it was almost closely related to Mileva's uncompleted thesis. 8 pages of his final lecture at her handwriting. But her name is nowhere mentioned. The first inventor of the windshield was a woman, Mary Anderson. When she went on a winter camp, she saw the driver was struggling to remove the wind because of the snow. He was trying to remove the dust. So then she discovered the windscreen. Like this, many ladies, even Ada Lovelace, she was born in 1815. She was recognized as the first computer programmer. And many such women have rendered excellent dedication in leading in many of the fields. Even in political leaders, we have many women right now of iconic significance. Looking at this COVID-19 pandemic, we can see that women leaders have contributed a lot. Many newspapers recently said that few countries who are led by women but are mainly successful in fighting this virus compared to others. Germany, led by Angela Merkel, had a very fewer death rate compared to Britain, France, Italy, and Spain. Finland, where Prime Minister Sanna Marin is there. There also you can see the death rate is quite less. Similarly, in New Zealand, many other countries where women prime ministers are there, people are finding out it's managed much better. These are women of mettle and determination. They change the world for better. They are women of dreams and passions who persevere with purpose and dedication. They embrace every day with uncertainty and risk taking, with no fear of failure, as they know life is full of surprises. So they are women leaders who transform moving culture, societies, and the world. Even though they are faced with atrocities, harassment, and oppression, they are not affected by that, and they move around passionately to change their society. That's why they inspire us. Every one of us can become a change maker. We might not be born with. I was born with a very low self-esteem. I never believed that I can do something. When I never imagined I can become a scientist. When I became a scientist, and initially I was walking through the path of depression, I met Jesus in a deathbed, and afterwards I understood I'm made in the image of God. I have values within me. I have something different within me. I need not fear anyone. I'm not scared of anyone. That changed me. That's when a leader is born. When you cannot stop when you feel like stopping something wrong, then you come up. That's when I understood, for me, God made me for a purpose. And my determination to follow that purpose changed me. And my many directors in my life gave me a lot of interest how to become a great leader, and many things changed. And this sort of things in DRDO, we have a lot of women leaders, and even in ISRO, we have many leaders who are leading many projects. Right now, we are having the society is not like us earlier, what we have watched. Many of the walls have crumbled down, and people look at women equally as men. And except some few villages, or in some even cities, or in some houses, still women are tortured and abused. Many men are coming forward to support them. That is an encouraging trend, and I believe that with the strength of the Lord, so many things are going to change. Finally, I would like to end by telling women is kindness personified. Yet she is stubborn in chasing her dreams. Her heart can melt with love, but still she is strong to achieve something worth. She may be fragile and weak, but she has determination to succeed. She is an embodiment of soft and tenacious grit. She can change the world around her because she fears no failure. Never fear for any failure. You are born to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And we have few questions from participant side. What is the quality of a good engineer as your view? So, what are all the key quality is required to become a good
engineer? And a scientist. A scientist and an engineer, there is a small difference. A researcher and an engineer, I will say. Both of them needs creativity. One works with hand, one works with mind. An engineer is a technologist. He uses the research and he sees something in future, what has to be done for the society. When he knows that something has to be done for the society, this particular equipment, this particular thing will do something better for my organization, something better for the world. He uses the research and he builds something out of it. He uses his mind, he uses his intelligence and resources and pulls in something and gets the things done. Whereas a researcher gets the materials from gets the scientific ideas, works on ideas, an engineer works on materials.
Yes. And another question, dreaming big seems good, but how to stick on to that dream
That needs
till the
perseverance.
dream comes
You
true?
know, Abdul Kalam, when he wanted to become an aircraft engineer, he was born in a very poor family. He used to get up at 4:30. He used to go to his Rameshwaram school where they were teaching free mathematics from 5 to 6. So he used to go there every day to learn that mathematics, and afterwards he was working as a paper boy. He went and handed over paper to many houses, and then he studied that way. But still, after when he was in school, he could not pay his fees. The sister had to give her gold to make him to study. So that is perseverance. You have to persevere against all odds to make your dream to come true.
Yes, ma'am. And another question, what is the role of women in India when
I
compared to
think
the
the role
other
of
parts of the world?
many places, it is almost the same.
So,
Still, people have that stereotypes, and many places, it's right now, because of the lockdown, the calls coming to police station because of domestic violence is too huge. Many women are getting beaten up in their own house. And it is not only in India, in France, that calls have increased by 90%. And that's why we know for sure that something is had to happen. I wrote a book, When the Flame Flickers, Emerging from Marital Abuse, against these atrocities, because still atrocities are there, but though many men are ready to come forward to protect them, there are still predators, and we have to fight against all odds.
yes, ma'am. And several ladies have this problem, and that is due to that pregnancy or due to the home condition. Though they are well educated, they may are about to leave their job, and so how can they develop the confidence on their career? So after a long gap or like that. So the question has been posed by the participant. So
I
how to
believe
encourage
that
themselves?
we have our knowledge will never go off, and God has given us some knowledge. We can sharpen it, and I have done my BE with honors in 86, and I did my PhD in 2007. Completed my PhD. So how many years? It is 86, 96. It's almost so many years gap. It's not that difficult. It is you have to sharpen your brain. When you keep, even you might have got children, keep learning your subjects. Why you wanted to leave it completely? Keep yourself with the latest knowledge. You should never leave because you have to fight against all odds. Nothing is difficult for a person if you have the belief in God and if you are ready to fight against every odds.
Yes, ma'am. We'll take up two more questions, ma'am. And how to handle the criticizers while performing as a women
When a
leader?
dog barks outside, what do? You just walk away because you think they don't have any value because they are barking at everything. That same manner, if some wrong criticism comes, you develop a buffalo skin. But when it is a right criticism, some people criticize you so that you can improve it. That is the best thing a friend can do. It. When you get a right criticism, work on it and develop yourself. When you get a wrong criticism, develop a buffalo skin and just walk over it.
Yes, ma'am. And last question, ma'am. Like when you were a child, whom do you think as your inspiration? And how your parents support to achieve you that scientist dream? And what motivated you to serve as a scientist in DRDO? So all the three questions I combined. So at first, as I said, who is
When
motivational
I was young,
inspiration
I
leader
had
for you
very low self-esteem.
when you were a
And
child?
when I was in 10th standard, one of my class teacher asked, "What do you want to become?" To everybody. Everybody said scientists, engineers. I said, "I'm a housewife," because I had a very low belief on me. I'd never believed that I can become a scientist. Even I took up engineering. I thought I can never finish it with honors, but my father persisted. You take up honors, like I took up, and then he forced me to learn classical dance, music, and all such things, and Hindi, everything in those days. And I think his persistence won over me. And one more thing is, when I understood that when some things became easy, when I started studying, I started understanding, I started enjoying it. And then I started loving research. That's when the DRDO advertisement came, and I was enjoying it. That I'm teaching radars in one of the college, and I started liking that subject and some of the signal processing and others. So that's when I got in. I applied for that job, and but though I'm put in a different field in microwaves, I like it so much because it's a research. And recently I wrote a book on beyond the boundaries of science, exploring the cosmic story, because though it's not my official subject, I started to love cosmology and geology and how the universe began, how the whole galaxies came into existence, because space is so much which I enjoy right now.
Great, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of Chennai Institute of Technology and the participants, we must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Latha Christie, ma'am, for an inspirational speech. And we also wish to express our gratitude to you for providing encouragement that every individual can be a change maker unless we realize our strengths and powers. We are also very grateful to you, ma'am, for making us feel mentally strong and realize our responsibilities and bring changes in our lives.
Thank you.